we'll stay on Formula 1 right now because, of course, the end to a great, let's just say, history in Formula 1 has come to an end, of course. A guy who actually saw driving his car around London doing donuts in a Formula 1 car in 2004, the same day as the Pride Parade. And I ended up watching the Pride Parade. It passed me by. It was great for crack. And then I went over and watched the streets were still closed off for this Formula 1 racing festival of motor racing, whatever. This guy, I'm Jenson Button. So Jenson Button was flying around. So of course, like we know who he is. So he is still racing, but he's racing less now. He is going to retire as a professional. And I think we've been set up with the right photos. I'm not too sure. Is that Jenson Button? I have to
see. It's either Jenson Button or Chris Martin, but I think it is.
Let me see. That is Chris Martin. This is Jenson Button. Okay, there we go. All right, so we got away with that one. So Jenson Button, of course, one of the last great British drivers before Lewis Hamilton came along. Thankfully, we don't have AK here today to make more sexist remarks about male drivers, so we're blessed with that. Jenson Button, I mean, as a racer, I mean, he came along at a time when it was kind of a changing of the guards, shall we say. And you know, he's only a young guy. He's 45 years of age. But he won a championship in 2009. 15 wins. He was at that period when there were a lot of top drivers like kind of coming to the end of the career. Of course, the tragedy say with Michael Schumacher. But he was still one of the very, very best at the time and consistent. How would he be rated for British racing fans?
Well, I mean, he's purely by the achievements you mentioned, the World Championship win with Braun. I remember that was a period when I actually was really interested in racing, because you remember, as you said, the changing of a guard in any sport is a fascinating period to see. Okay, now we've got no expectations. There's no reputations overshadowing the sport, not on the same scale anyway. I mean, Damon Hill was the first major British racing star. Nigel Mansell, I remember, in the 1990s, with huge names, and obviously incredibly successful as well. But to win a world championship in, like you mentioned, that period of change when Ross Brawn took over the struggling Honda side, I think it was, wasn't it? Who ran into a lot of trouble, and suddenly, out of nowhere, they started winning everything. And it's exciting when you see a new team doing so well. And Jenson Button at that period was the star. So he will go down as a major British sporting star, because not just for his success, but I don't want to be too cheesy and corny about this, but the behaviour of the man off the sporting stage, for me, makes a big difference to how that person's standing is. If people are constantly whinging, or they never speak to the press, they never get involved, they never make themselves available, they make snarky comments at people, then their standing diminishes in my eyes. And Jenson Button, maybe behind the scenes, is a horrible person, but he doesn't come across that way. And for what it's worth, I think that counts towards somebody standing their legacy in the sport. And I would even argue that, okay, he won his world championship, but he continued racing consistently, as you say, with higher profile names when he was racing alongside Kimi Räikkönen, when he had a period with Lewis Hamilton, I think it was it earlier, was it about 2010, 2011, whenever it was. His star was waning in a sense that he wasn't winning so many races, but he still kept going, and that in itself, and McLaren, sorry, that's what I meant. That I think means his legacy is secure, and the fact he's gone on to do different types of racing, not throw his toys out of the pram. He still does a lot of reporting. He still keeps himself busy. I mean,
he's still he commentates, and he does pit side, or he commentates for guy, I think, in Formula One. He also does a lot of
Yeah.
work like pit side and so on. And he's, he does seem a very amiable person. There's no, there's his public image is kind of this, clean cut and kind of just normal down to earth guy. As you mentioned, he never seemed to be this egoist who said like, I'm the number one driver or nothing. There was no, he understood the pecking order and his position. I mean,